Hello everyone, my name is Michael and here we are looking at Bitcoin, the S&P 500, where we've been and where we look at going for the next 24 hours. So, if we look at Bitcoin, I did have the anticipation that we were going to come and sweep this liquidity um, earlier yesterday, but it seems like we had enough buying pressure and enough interest in the market to move us up to come up and challenge this liquidity up here, to challenge the structure of these to create a higher high. What we seem to have done is that we tested it, formed essentially a double top in the short term, and now we're starting to move back down to challenge this liquidity around the 56,900 mark. So, as you can see, we're expecting price to come up, reject, and fall down. We just had an extra day where we've come up, we tested it structurally, we formed a double top. So basically up, and now we're starting to move down to challenge the liquidity. So from there, the 55,900 mark is my target, and if we move across to the Binance liquidity heat map, as let's move it to a symbol instead of a pair. This will include every market maker, and we can get a bit more of a clearer, concise picture on it. So here we are. Let's just move me down here. So here we've got 764, sorry, is the strongest level of liquidity, where $79 million, almost $80 million worth of liquidity is leveraged out. So I'm looking at challenging the 55,900. If I move that down to the 12 hour, it might give us a slightly clearer picture. It looks like that's where it was just before. Now it looks like it seems to have been pushed down. Maybe there's some more buyers in there that have bought the dip. But yeah, it's actually pushed down a little bit lower, which is quite interesting. So price is moving slightly lower. We're closer to this liquidity level than we are the 56,900. So generally, I am still targeting that low at the 55,900. That is my target, to sweep the liquidity and move on to higher prices. Or we may crash down through, and that's fine too. I'll be out of the market at that point, and we can make an assessment as further things come in. So if we want to have a quick look here, let's just zoom this out. So we can see here that everything seems to be on fire. So Bitcoin total, S&P 500, the DXY, the VIX, US oil are all down. US oil is only 0.06 down for the day, and the only thing that's going up, as a not including individual cryptos or Nvidia, everything is going down. So with the exception of gold. So if we look at gold, gold is a move to safe assets. So it's a move to safety. Oh, where did that just go? So it's a flight to safety, and we can see that over the last few hours from Saturday, we are still bullish. So everything is still moving in a safe, healthy trajectory. S&P 500, if we look at the S&P 500, we've expanded past that regressive trend channel mean trend line. And now we haven't quite hit the 2 standard deviations, but now we're starting to revert back to the mean. So as we are going down, we are sort of bouncing around, bing-bonging, up and down, left and right. But we are moving across, and like I said in yesterday's episode, we can't start looking for higher highs until we break this high. Until we break this structurally, we don't know that this is genuinely an upwards trend, because these may just be false higher highs. But until we actually form a real structural higher high of significance, creating a regressive trend line from here to here. Although it may be up, it's not statistically valid. It doesn't carry as much weight because it hasn't actually broken structure. Where this has broken structure and we are starting to move down, we can use this trend line as a structural area of confluence to add to our other liquidity levels. So if we're having a look here, so the S&P is starting to wane and starting to move back down to the downside. Bitcoin has broken down from the upside and is now starting to challenge into the buy side liquidity of this uptrend, because here we have broken the significant low. So here we got high low, lower high, lower high, lower low, and we've broken it. So now we can include this as an upwards trend as opposed to S&P, which is not. So we can also see that we are having a down day on the S&P BTC. The DXY, which usually works in opposite, in conversing to what we normally have with Bitcoin and the S&P, we're actually falling here as well. So from 11 o'clock, there was the Trump-Harris debate, and whether that shook everyone out of their seats, and that was the massive sell-off that is selling out of US dollars, selling out of the S&P 500, selling out of Bitcoin, and everyone moves to gold out of fear of who we might have as a president for the US, maybe. But until we actually are starting to move from, we have S&P, Bitcoin, gold start to move in one direction, and we start to see the VIX and the DXY moving in an opposite direction. I also want to point out the US 2-year and the US 10-year are also trending downwards. So these are another thing that generally moves up. When it moves up, Bitcoin moves down. When US 10-year moves up, Bitcoin moves down. But what we're seeing here is everything is moving down, which is just showing that there's a real flush out of direction. So even though Bitcoin is falling, it's maybe it's going to be a lackluster bounce. We need to start seeing a better confluence, a bit of information between what is going to be moving the market and where that's going to play out. So I would be staying out of the market. Although I'm in my trade right now, I am looking at staying out of the market to start to see a new setup form. So whether the DXY starts to continue falling and S&P 500 and Bitcoin start to move up towards the London session, US session, and into the early morning in Australia, or whether we're going to start to see more flush out as we start to challenge in Bitcoin down to the $53,000 mark, give or take. So it's interesting that we've got this buy side liquidity of Bitcoin, which is great to see. So we are starting to come into this juicy buy zone, but I do want to see price to come down a little bit further, perhaps extend out of, perhaps come down, challenge this 61.8 level and then move up. We've had 2 tests above, 2 tests below, and a level in the middle of the 50% line. We've failed, a slight touch, and then a fall away. So I do want to see price come down to that sort of, at least 55 level. I know I did just say 53,000, but we want to try and hold that $55,000 mark. 55 to 50 is a nice zone where we can actually capture a little bit of regressive channel, support on the 618 level, and what else? What was I going to say? Struth. Well, we've got the 54,850. Maybe that's what I was going to say. But they're the 3 zones that we're kind of looking at. So as price comes down, sorry, can't believe I just lost my thought, but that's it. So we're looking at that sort of the 618 level at 55,000, the liquidity at 54,830, 54,830, and then we can start to look at how price starts to move around from there. But we want to see support from the S&P 500. We want to see gold going in a similar direction, and that just gives us a bit more support. Maybe in the total crypto market cap 3, the total 3. Let's have a quick look here. Yeah, I haven't actually looked at this for a little bit, so let's move this across. Yeah, so we've actually come out, we've fallen below the standard deviation. Yeah, we're there. All right, so we're fallen below the 2 standard deviations, but we are at this level of support here. So that's really supportive to see. We are above the 50% line. We've just come down and we're wicking these support levels, which we broke through and we've sat above, and now we're just touching now. So it looks like that we could be in a good position moving forward with just a potential slight move to the downside. So let's just click here. Let's do a regressive channel across here. Yeah, perfect. So we have tested above the 50% level on total crypto market cap. So that's including Ethereum, stable coins, Bitcoin, and every other crypto. So what we can see here is that we have broken down the 50% line. We are touching this regressive trend channel, which is basically just an exhaustion line. Or if it continues, then it's a change in direction. But basically, price is moving. As it moves away from the trend line, it becomes exhausted and reverts back to the mean. Moves away, exhausted, comes back to the mean. Moves away, exhausted, bursts up, exhausted, comes back to the mean. And that just gives us a trajectory to move towards as time and price moves on. Obviously, it moves and is adjusted with every corresponding hourly candle, but we can look and give us a general guidance and direction on to where we can go from here. All right, so that's it for today. I hope everyone has a great day, great night, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. All right, happy trading. Michael out.